The students were introduced to Fauvism, and I had them look at Henry Matisse. We looked at Harmony in Red, Red Room, and then we also looked at Cat with Red Fish. And we kept on coming back to those in particular. They saw a couple other examples, but I feel like those two were really able to capture what we were doing here with this project. We have a first grade class and a kindergarten class combined. So if you can take a look at the project at the top, this one in particular, they were really able to work a lot more autonomously and easily. The kindergartners required a lot more with the assemblage and some of the other items in this project. I got the idea from this book that I was gifted for our preschool. In the book, it talked about this right here with just painting perspective, but I really felt like I could take some of this and apply it to what we've learned already in the year. So it turned out really, really nice. I'm really pleased with it, and I think the students learned a lot. Starting out with two 8.5 by 11. This is for the background. We have primary colors for the background and then the midground. This is a mixture of red and yellow. We mix them together to make the orange. This one is a little bit of a shading technique. We use blue and we create two different shades of blue and then just regular blue, and those get assembled together. Students were encouraged to do long, broad strokes with their yellow, going back and forth as they went. They went down 2/3 of the way, and then on the other side, I allowed them to re-dip their brush in the red paint. Again, broad strokes. Going back and forth, and then coming up 2/3 of the way. You could do a wet on wet for this, so you could have your students do the wet over top with just water and then use the watercolor. I liked this just because of the texture, and we were able to talk about texture. Washable marker can be used here. Students can either go straight from down to up, or they can reorient their paper and just turn it on 180 and then go straight from up to down. But they will need to have one line that goes down right here, and then another line that goes from here all the way across to create that window intersection right over here in the upper right-hand corner. The windowsill of the foreground is 11 by 2. And then this one is much longer. This is about 3 inches wide, but you'll want to kind of gauge how big your project is as you assemble so that the curtain goes all the way down to the bottom. So this might change a little bit, but on this one, instead of going back and forth, like we did in the background, I had them practice going up and down with long, broad strokes using the shoulder. So once you've drawn that line in, you put the purple windowsill down. The edges kind of line up really nicely because of how you've torn or cut everything already. And then the curtain sits down there. They trim that off themselves. And then all that's left is using the washable marker to use the Brookes look-see draw method, and then starting with a circle for the cat head, and then you do the triangle ears, and then you can kind of go from there and do their outlines of their cat, and then they can just color it in. So I just wanted to include that the curtains were drawn using a Sharpie, instead of the washable marker, because when you paint on it, it will bleed. Just make note of that. And then the other one is that a lot of students ask to make a dog instead of a cat. It's easily doable by changing the shape of the ears and then also the tail.